work together for Africa's growth and unity, Vice President Shettima tells former Tanzanian president. President Tinubu cuts down 10 billion naira worth of cost ahead of COP29.
This is the change that Nigerians have asked for. This is the change that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is giving to them.
FG inaugurates Interministerial Committee to enforce Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy. Plus, soccer comes the way of flood victims in Borno as Jigawa partners National Assembly on ecological funds to build climate resilience. Good evening and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I am Elizabeth Omori. And of course, our busy businessman Benny Adams will bring us some business reports in the course of the bulletin. Now we begin with bilateral relations. Vice President Kashim Shettima has appealed for more cooperation between Nigeria and Tanzania in shared aspirations for continental growth and unity. This is when the Vice President received former Tanzanian President Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Commending Tanzania's leadership legacy, Vice President Shettima said it is important to foster stronger economic and social ties between the two nations, especially within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. He also appreciated the Tanzanian government's support for Nigerian businesses in Tanzania, citing companies owned by Nigerians. Former President Kikwete, who was in Nigeria for the convocation ceremony at the National Defense College, expressed the readiness of Tanzania to strengthen business and diplomatic ties with Nigeria. He acknowledged the role of the Nigerian National Defense College in training Tanzanian military personnel, expressing optimism for deeper ties in defense, trade and diplomacy. Both leaders expressed the importance of revisiting outdated agreements and scaling up bilateral relations in the spirit of African solidarity. So climate change financing, in an effort to cut down cost of Nigeria's participation in the upcoming COP29 in Baku, Abuja, from November 11th to 22nd, 2024, President Bola Tinubu approved the cutting down of cost worth 10 billion naira and the establishment of climate accountability and transparency portal for Nigerians to have access to expenses that will be incurred during the meeting. Presidential spokesman Ajurin Gelalewa, briefing State House correspondents, said this is coming considering significant waste in the last meeting in Dubai. State House Correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that the Office of the Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Action and the National Council on Climate Change has concluded an exercise aimed at ensuring the implementation of measures that would ensure that whatever is spent ahead of COP29 has a function that will lead to the economic empowerment of our people and the economic development of the nation.
In collaboration with my office, has established the Climate Accountability and Transparency Portal, which will, among other things, ensure that all members of delegation across ministries, departments, and agencies, and including even the legislative branch of government, will be captured on a transparent portal. This will mean that Nigerians will have full and real-time access into the numbers of who is attending and those who government is sponsoring to COP29.
Ahead of COP29, the committee has also resolved that there will be no showcase pavilion as part of the federal government's cost reduction efforts, recognizing that what can be achieved in a showcase pavilion can be achieved in a far more economically efficient mode by effectively utilizing the delegation office, which is saving nearly $500,000, costing less than 10% of the cost of the showcase pavilion.
This is the change that Nigerians have asked for. This is the change that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is giving to them. Furthermore, while we ensure that we are not getting involved in high-end purchases of pavilion spaces at a time when our people are grappling with economic difficulty, we are also ensuring that some of these wasteful platforms that give rise to consultancies and subcontracts for lighting, for technological provision, that these are elements that can be provided directly from the Secretariat of the National Council on Climate Change.
Meanwhile, the Honor and Chair of Eleme the 10th and Egbere Emere Okori, King Apollos Chu, alongside some members of his council, had an engagement with the Minister of Environment as they outlined some concerns on the ongoing IPREP cleanup in their domain. Chimdima Undubisi brings us details.
The Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, an effort of the federal government to clean up communities affected by oil spillage in oil-producing states, is in its second phase. This time around, the focus is on remediating contaminated soil and groundwater, a show of commitment to the conservation of Ogoniland's environment. However, the Honor Chair and Egbere Merokuri in Eleme, Rivers State, King Apollos Chu, and his chiefs at the meeting with the Minister of Environment pointed out some areas in the remediation process that should be looked into.
We are not satisfied with what is going on, and we'll try to draw the attention of the Minister to what is happening in my domain so that he can address the issue and how it affects my subject and landowners in the communities. And the meeting was deliberated and went on well. I believe that the minister, with his wisdom, he will be able to address those observations that the community is raising.
The meeting is expected to continue next week. In Abuja, Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
Away from environment matters, the federal government is committed to the eradication of tuberculosis amongst military personnel and Nigerians. The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mohammed, stated this while inaugurating a tuberculosis modular laboratory in Abuja. Ismail Musa reports.
With this symbolic ceremony, the military can now be proud of a state-of-the-art laboratory to enhance healthcare services for its personnel and civilians. Inaugurating the project, the minister says the federal government will continue to collaborate with its partners in the drive to eradicate tuberculosis and other diseases.
This momentous occasion represents a significant milestone in our effort to combat the spread of tuberculosis and improve healthcare delivery in our country.
Proud to say that the U.S. government's investment in the health of Nigerians matches Nigeria's stature on the continent. In fact, Nigeria is home to our largest health programming budget worldwide.
The commissioning of TB Modular Lab today, we will be undoubtedly enhance the capacity for the early diagnosis, treatment, research, and training on tuberculosis.
World Health Organization report shows that Nigeria is sixth among 8 countries in the world and first in Africa, with over 470,000 new cases and 84 deaths annually from tuberculosis. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA.
Dr. Kayode Egbetokun is a paragon of integrity and professionalism, a police officer whose career has been marked by steadfast commitment to duty with an unwavering resolve in the face of challenges. These were the words of President Bola Tinubu delivered by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, at a book presentation in honor of the IGP. Francis Form reports.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a presentation of a book entitled Riddance in Policing, Peace and Security, in recognition of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun for his dedication to the principles of justice. Having worked with him as governor of Lagos State, President Bola Tinubu, who wrote the foreword, notes that IGP Egbetokun has exemplified unyielding courage and unshakable integrity in pursuing justice and peace.
Your journey is a source of pride for all of us, and your contributions to our nation's peace and security will be remembered for generations to come.
The 577-page book, published by the Society for Peace, Studies and Practice, is a collection of essays based on various submissions from the different security outfits in the country. The book is in 2 volumes.
Essentially, suggestions were made towards policy improvement of the overall security, rethinking, restructuring, and consolidation in Nigeria.
We may not entirely be where we want to be yet, but Dr. Egbetokun's management of the internal security machinery has set Nigeria on a pedestal that is increasingly becoming enviable.
This man with his PhD, with his thesis, and on NSAS, we are not surprised that he employed it. That is why when the protests were taking a few days before the protest, he invited the leaders of the protesters, what had never happened previously.
The book will not only be a reference material, but it is also going to inspire the new generation of law enforcement officers in Nigeria.
It also represents a testament to the IGP's leadership and valuable resource for future generations, reflecting the collective endorsement of both the individual and the administration led by IGP Egbetokun within the Nigeria Police Force. Francis from NTA News.
Let's shift attention to housing data. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has inaugurated a joint steering committee on the National Housing Data Center with a view of generating accurate data for housing delivery in Nigeria. Francis Odojo brings us details.
Inaccurate data for both habitable and non-habitable houses has been identified as one of the challenges militating against housing deliverables. Conflicting figures in determining actual housing deficit was part of the reasons for the inauguration of the 12-man Housing Data Generation Committee, chaired by the Ministry of Housing and co-chaired by the MD and Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Company, Kehinde Ogundimu.
The committee has been established as a key strategic partner among key stakeholders in Nigeria's housing market, with the mandate to develop and implement a blueprint for ensuring transparency and essential and ease of access to housing data in Nigeria.
Key deliverables of the committee includes develop framework for setting up the National Housing Data Center and creating data gathering channels from the private and public institutions.
Honourable Minister, we assure you that as a committee we will work towards making this assignment realized on time.
We believe that if we have proper data, it will help us as an institution to identify where our target market is.
The committee are expected to set up its technical unit and complete its responsibility within 12 months. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
In other news, the Nigerian Labour Congress is asking for an extension of time to consult with its legal team before honoring the invitation of the Nigerian Police Force. The Congress called for the extension while addressing the media after an emergency National Executive Council virtual meeting. NLC Deputy President Kabiru Adusani says the union only got the invitation of its president, Joseph Ajero, by the Nigeria Police Force for questioning yesterday and was asked to report today by 10 a.m.
As a committed labor center, that we agreed or that we abide by the rule of law and due process. we will honor the invitation of the Nigerian police because we are not faceless organization, but we believe that we need an extension of time after consultation with our lawyers.
This is the Network News on NTA. Let's take a break. The news continues shortly. Thanks for staying with us. In a bid to foster collaboration and tackle challenges in the shipping and logistics sector, Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Ukeyima Akuta, visited Dala Inland Dry Port in Kano. Elizabeth Yila Lamido reports that during the visit, Akuta held an interactive session with key stakeholders from the Northwest Zone, emphasizing the port's strategic role in enhancing regional trade and driving economic growth.
With the mandate to establish an efficient and effective economic regulatory system in the transport sector, the Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Akuta, visited the Dala Inland Dry Port in Kano. During his visit, he stressed the importance of creating a vehicle transit area to enhance transportation. In a subsequent stakeholder engagement, Akuta outlined ongoing efforts to boost port efficiency and safeguard shippers' rights.
It is through these engagements that we're having here today that we also understand what are the issues challenging the whole value chain of the transport logistics to support your shipping businesses.
Stakeholders acknowledged the positive developments, but also pointed out areas that still need improvement.
Is there anything that is placed in place by the Shippers Council to take our complaints in such a way that even though if we are short of documents as the new exporters that are coming into the game, maybe they can still rectify the issue?
I am calling on the Nigerian Shippers Council. They have been trying. They have a very hard-working staff in that zone. But where are the people to work with?
Responding to these concerns, Akuta assured stakeholders that the identified issues will be promptly addressed. In Kano, Elizabeth Yila, NTA News.
As arrangements gear up for the 25th anniversary of the National Hospital, the Apex Health Center is soliciting the support of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, towards a successful Silver Jubilee celebration. Director General of the NTA, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembas, during a meeting, assured the management of the hospital of unflinching support of the media organization. The National Hospital for the past 25 years has been committed to delivering high-quality patient care and advancing medical research. Having achieved so much in the health sector over the years, it's time to roll out programs to celebrate achievements in providing comprehensive medical services. And this, the Chief Medical Director of the hospital says, will be achieved with the support of the foremost media organization, the NTA.
Collaborating with the NTA, which has the largest viewership, I would say, in the continent, means that we'll be able to now show the whole world what we are able to do.
Director General, NTA, assured the management of the hospital of necessary support to amplify activities of the care center.
The NTA is committed to using our platforms to further amplify the success of the National Hospital and to bring to light the remarkable stories of healing and care that emerge from your institution.
Activities lined up for the commemoration of the anniversary will kick off on the 2nd of September 2024. Elizabeth Om. To health financing, Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has disbursed over 209 million naira to 170 primary health care centers across the 27 local government areas of the state, with a directive to local government chairmen to ensure functionality of the primary health care system. The occasion was held at the Government House, Maiduguri, where the governor presented checks to selected healthcare facilities from the 3 senatorial zones. Mohamed Goni reports.
Leadership of the Borno State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency and that of the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, chairmen of the 27 local government areas, as well as primary healthcare coordinators and facility managers were brought together to ensure synergy in the management of the primary healthcare system. Governor Bagana Omar Azlim, who announced a plan to rehabilitate all primary healthcare centers across the 27 local government areas, also charged primary healthcare coordinators and facility managers to be dedicated to their responsibility by ensuring quality service to the people.
Local government chairman and the Department of Primary Health Care of the local government councils are advised to monitor utilizations of funds coming to the primary health care facilities. And primary health care development agencies should be clear the amount of local government chairman in reason for transparency and accountability.
This occasion marks an important milestone in our collective efforts to ensure that every person in our state has access to quality healthcare services.
Executive Secretary of the State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency, Dr. Saleh Abbakaza, and the Executive Director of the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Professor Mohamed Arab Alaji, cleared the air on some issues relating to the services of the agencies. Mabar Local Government Chairman Mohamed Aji, on behalf of the 27 local government councils, assured the state authorities of their commitment to ensure prudent management of the fund disbursed. In Maiduguri, Mohamed Goni, NTA News.
Away from health financing, in an effort to mitigate the impact of climate change on people and agricultural productivity in Jigawa State, the state government is collaborating with the House Committee on Ecological Fund to build climate resilience in the state. Mohamed Musa Askira brings us details.
The synergy between the Jigawa State Government and the National Assembly through the House Committee on Ecological Fund led by Honorable Aminu Sani Jaji will avail the opportunity for Jigawa to access resources to fight ecological problems in the state. The visit of the House Committee on Ecological Fund was extended to some of the affected areas to see the magnitude of damage on the residential and farmlands in Jigawa State.
The tour is to select some few states among the 36 that we have in the Federation that we think they deserve to have a special intervention in the areas of ecological challenges, so as to complement the effort of the Mr. President in his renewed hope agenda in addressing the issue of climate change and food security.
The water in the dams has not been released yet, and we know how our dams are completely silted, and by the time the overflow and the water is released, only God knows what will happen. Mr. Chairman, as of today, for the perennial rain, we have almost close to 40,000 people that are affected as at today.
The committee has promised to do everything within its power to assist the state in addressing some of the ecological challenges being faced. From Duty, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Yobe state government has directed the immediate disbursement of 100 million naira and relief materials to hundreds of victims of flood disasters in 3 local government areas of the state. This was when the state deputy governor led a delegation to assess the situation in the 3 most affected council areas of Nguru, Karaswa and Nangere, where thousands of people were displaced in the ensuing flood disaster. Adam Yusuf Ali reports.
Spot assessment visits by the governor, Maimala Buni, represented by the state deputy governor Idi Barde Gubana to 3 local governments of Guru, Karaswa and Nengere, is to ascertain the level of damages caused by the flood in the areas. While commiserating with emirs and people of the affected councils, the governor pledged to provide permanent solution to the problem, where in case of Guru flood, Akrisal is to construct 300-meter drainage to reclaim waterways as part of measures against future occurrence.
The one that will be done under the Akrisal, inshallah, we are sure that the water will discharge away from Guru town.
The 2 emirs of Guru and Nengeri, Alhaji Mustafa Ibn Chari and Alhaji Abubakar Muhammad Ibn Grema, both appreciated the governor for the prompt intervention. Records from the State Emergency Management Agency show 782 households were affected in Guru, 896 in Karaswa, and 953 in Nigeria. In Damaturu, Adam Yusuf Ali, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mr. Deza David as the new President Chief Executive Officer of the Digital Bridge Institute. David is an academic and industry expert with a deep understanding of digital technologies and educational leadership. The President also approved the appointment of Ruben Oshoma as Executive Director, Marketing, Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, NIGCOMSAT, and Mrs. Adama Kuri, Executive Director, Finance and Administration, NIGCOMSAT. Oshoma has extensive experience in communications, satellite marketing, and strategic business development, while Kuri is a seasoned finance professional with a strong record in financial management and corporate governance. The President expects the newly appointed officers to bring their wealth of experience and expertise to bear in driving the strategic vision for these institutions. You're watching the Network News on NTA. Let's head to Lagos for more reports, and Adiola will be our guide. And Adiola will be.
And welcome to Lagos Studios. Afrigo Pay Financial Services Limited, a subsidiary of Nigeria Interbank Settlement System (NIPS), has upgraded its settlement process for instant credit to POS merchants, promising timely and immediate access to funds. At a press conference in Lagos, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of a financial outfit, Ebehije Momo, said the world-class initiative will promote the quest for a cashless society while improving turnover on investments. Michael Olaleye completes the report.
Introduce a game changer.
Afrigo's emergence into the National Domestic Car Scheme is to revolutionize the payment system in Nigeria, with the sole aim of reducing the current banking population who depend on cash transactions, redefining standard for efficiency, as well as promoting effectiveness for more innovative, secured, and inclusive financial services are key to the Afrigo Pay Financial Services, hence the launch of the instant POS settlement for card transactions.
That's what makes us a domestic scheme.
The Managing Director and CEO of the financial institution said prioritizing seamless, contactless transaction, devoid of delay and risk, are the comparative advantages of Afrigo Card over other international payment systems.
This service will provide merchants with timely access to their funds, drastically improving cash flows, and then reducing the risk of delays or disputes, and ultimately supporting the sustainability and growth of business across the nation.
We are trying to reduce costs even to the issuers of cards in Nigeria. We're trying to make sure that our transactions remain within Nigeria. Data has to be protected.
The company said the instant payment settlement process for real-time POS transaction is part of a broader strategy to offer value-added services while retaining its leadership role within the continent.
Forget about contactless and all that. Your card is tokenized, you're safe. Then when it comes to the platform itself, we have fraud monitoring tools.
The pride for the future for Afrigo Pay Financial Services is that, being an indigenous entity, it is constantly evolving means of solving emerging payment challenges synonymous with Nigeria. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
And still on financial matters, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, is expanding its tentacles in protection of deposits through strategic reforms, which has raised the deposit insurance coverage significantly and timely reimbursement of those affected by fiscal recklessness of unhealthy banks. Joak Bukwole reports that the NDIC Executive Chairman Bello Hassan, at a retreat organized for House of Representatives Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, urged the the lawmakers to continue to synergize with the corporation to guarantee financial system stability.
Stability of Nigeria's financial sector is pivotal to the nation's economy, and Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation's collaboration with relevant agencies, especially the National Assembly, is for effective oversight of the banks and other financial institutions, with the team strengthening financial stability and deposit insurance frameworks for economic resilience. The retreat, according to the NDIC chairman who was represented, is to usher in a robust blueprint to build a virile and resilient economy. The NDIC assures that it is determined to maintain a healthy banking system by carrying out stress tests and prompt corrective actions where necessary.
Insurance coverage was raised from 500,000 to 5 million for deposit money banks, subscribers of mobile money operators, mortgage banks, that's PMBs, was reviewed from 500,000 to 2 million, while that of microfinance banks was increased from 200,000 to 2 million. It is worthy to mention that the revised coverage for the DMBs provides a full coverage for 98.98% of the total depositors.
The chairman, House Committee on Insurance and Actuarial Matters, Ahmed Usman Jaha, described the retreat as an eye-opener, assuring the NDIC of the committee's unflinching support.
Yes, what we should take out at the end of this retreat is our ability to sit down and discuss the need, if any, for expansion of our deposit insurance coverage in the country.
The retreat is expected to come up with a workable roadmap for sustainable financial stability. In Lagos, Joel Bukwola, NTA News.
And those are reports from Lagos. We'll have more business reports with our very busy Benny, who is already standing by for business news. But that will be when we return from this break.
Good to know you're still locked on this channel and talking more on business. Amid a challenging economy, Indonesia finds Nigeria's business environment attractive. To this end, Nigeria and Indonesia are set to increase trade volumes between both countries. This is as a 4-day investment exhibition is underway in Kano to strengthen economic ties with the Republic of Indonesia. The event also aims to remove bottlenecks militating against smooth business transactions between the two countries.
Was the number 16 economy in the world in terms of GDP and US dollar.
Has become our positive impression.
We also have to facilitate Nigerian products into the Indonesian market. It's part of the thing that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will try to ensure that not a one-sided trade. It should move both ways, that we go for their product, they come for what we can send.
Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it has recorded increase in remittance flows reaching $553 million in July 2024, a 130% increase from the corresponding period in 2023. Acting Director Corporate Communications of the Apex Bank, Hakama Sidi Ali, says the figure represents the highest monthly total inflows on record and reflects ongoing efforts by the central bank to enhance liquidity in Nigeria's foreign exchange market. While the CBN is confident that the increase in remittances and the recent decline in inflation is a strong testament to the success of the reforms being carried out, it anticipates that measures in place will contribute to achieving its broader objective of maintaining price stability. And now a look at the markets. At the end of today's trading session on the exchange, the oil share index appreciated by 0.12%. They closed at 95,895.92 basis points. A total of 1.013 billion naira worth of shares were traded in 8,295 deals, corresponding to a market value of 7.687 billion naira were traded. Today's data shows 150% improvement in volume, but 11% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 54.5 trillion naira. On the aggregate, 123 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 19 gainers and 24 losers. Jais Bank recorded the highest volume of 651 million traded shares, followed by Sterling Bank with 53.9 million, International Breweries 28.4 million, and FCMB Group sitting on the fourth spot with 21.9 million. That is it on business. Elizabeth, you can take it from here.
Thank you so much, Benny. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, has inaugurated an interministerial committee to enforce the Supreme Court's judgment delivered on the 11th of July 2024, granting financial autonomy to local governments in Nigeria. Kenneth Nanim reports.
The members of the committee include Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who serves as the chairman, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Accountant General of the Federation and Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria. Others are Permanent Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Chairman, Revenue, Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, representatives of the state governors and local governments. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Odu, who stood in for the Secretary to the Government of the Federation at the event, says the committee's primary goal is to ensure that local governments are allowed to effectively operate full autonomy granted them by the Supreme Court without interference from the state governments. He also says the move is in line with President Bola Tinubu's effort to appropriately implement the provisions of the Constitution, which recognizes local governments as the third tier of government. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
United Nations reaffirms commitment to stand with Nigerian government to continue to meet the growing needs of humanitarian interventions across the country. Ruth Aguele reports that this was during the presentation of relief items to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation in partnership with stakeholders to displaced persons in Malkohi camp in Yola, Adamawa State.
An unusual day for the internally displaced persons in Malkohi Internally Displaced Persons Camp in Yola, Adamawa State, a temporary settlement that harbors more than 1,000 displaced persons who have been integrated into the host community. No better way to welcome their host and express their gratitude for the showers of blessings that have come their way. As part of activities to mark this year's World Humanitarian Day, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, together with its partners, have extended a gesture of humanity to the people.
I reaffirm here the commitment of the United Nations in Nigeria and its partners to stand with you, to support you, to work tirelessly to help those who need our help.
It is a day dedicated to honoring humanitarian aid workers and working tirelessly to provide the much needed assistance and recognize the sacrifices they and their families make every day.
Justina Gabriel, an orphan who was granted scholarship to finish her education, has lived in this camp for more than 9 years. She was short of words but filled with tears of joy.
I don't know how to express my gratitude. I never expected this to happen to me today. Only God can repay them.
The ministry says the free medical services to the people and presentation of relief items is part of the federal government's commitment in meeting the growing needs of the displaced persons.
This administration, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have interest in them and he cares for them.
I'm very happy because for some times now, no one has remembered us. So this is God's blessings.
For these humanitarian actors, they believe with collective efforts, as they continue to take action for humanity to restore hope to the people, it will create a pathway for a sustainable future for them. From Yola, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Another break is apt and we'll take it. Our next is sports update with Bade Adele. Bade.
Many thanks, Elizabeth. Let's begin with this breaking news as England and Manchester City midfielder Phil Foden is PFA Men's Player of the Year, while his compatriot Cole Palmer of Chelsea scooped the Young Player of the Year award. Foden netted 19 times in 35 appearances as Manchester City won the fourth successive English Premier League title. He also inked his name as the youngest player to have won 6 EPL crowns at just 23 years. Palmer, who switched from City to Chelsea last season, scored 22 goals in 34 league appearances. It is the first time since 2010 that both awards were won by English players. Now let's return home as Edo Queens are through to the final of the Wafu B CAF Women's Champions League after they beat FC Inter Abuja 2-1 in the semi-final. Goals from Essien in the 7th minute and Blessing Eleveda in the 34th minute secured automatic qualification for the CAF Women's Champions League before Adjoa Niame netted for the Ivorian side. Edo Queens now face Ainove of Benin Republic in the final. Now, Organization of Military Sports in Africa has held a familiarization tour to member countries ahead of the second Africa Military Games in Abuja. OSMA President Major General Mekano Abdullahi, with Director of Sports Defense Headquarters Abuja, Air Vice Marshal Abidemi Marcos, have met with the founder of the organization, Colonel Ahmad Kaukaba Mabom, at the OSMA headquarters in Yaoundé, Cameroon, in furtherance of consultations towards a hitch-free championship. About 2,000 athletes and officials from 42 countries are expected to participate in the Games.
For the purpose of handing a special invitation to our enviable brother and senior, Colonel Ahmad Kaukaba Mabom, to attend the opening and the closing ceremony of the Games, which is coming up on the 18th to 30th of November this year.
Hard work, commitment, and belief in their own possibility to deliver very successful games.
Well, that's the much you can take on Sports Update. Let's back to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Bade, for the updates. The burial committee for the funeral of late Dr. Bona Ono, former Minister of Science and Technology, announces burial arrangements. A night of tribute will hold on the 4th of November 2024 at Musayara Center, Abuja by 5 p.m. Requiem Mass at Church of Assumption at Sokoro at 5 p.m. on the 5th of November 2024. Lying in state, 6th of November 2024 at Abia State Executive Council Chambers at 11 a.m. Day of Tributes at International Conference Center, Umuahia at 1 p.m. on the 7th of November. Another lying in state at Ebonyi State Executive Council Chambers at 12 p.m. followed by Requiem Mass and Wake at Uburu is country home by 5 p.m. Funeral service and interment will come up on the 8th of November 2024 at Uburu is country home or Hazara local government area of Ebonyi State by 11 a.m. Meanwhile, the remains of Yahuza Salisu, an NTA staff attacked by hoodlums, has been buried at the Godo Cemetery today. Tope Alabi brings us details of the burial.
Late Yahuza Salisu, a driver with NTA News 24, was on duty when he was attacked along CBN and Saad Stores Road and Route Lugbe Monday night by hoodlums who stabbed him to death and dispossessed him of his phones. As the tradition in Islam, Janazah prayer was observed at the National Mosque to pray Allah for the repose of his soul. And for the final abode, the grave, where every Muslim retires after death, was where the body of late Yahuza were laid to rest.
It's not to die that matters, no. What preparation did we do for that day? Because there is another life after this one.
He really leave us at the time when we need such people. So the only thing we can do that we pray. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him.
Very gentle and very quiet. A man that in fact will never raise his voice, more especially to elders.
You looking for his assistance
or any of his kind. Yehuda doesn't resist. Truly, Yehuda has lived an exemplary life.
In line with what God has said, for those who died in this unfortunate incident, Al-Jannatul Firdaus will be his final abode. I pray that Allah give him and grant him eternal rest.
While the NTA family mourns the death of its driver, there is hope that security agencies in the FCT will beef up security in the territory, especially the notorious spots like where Yahuza breathed his last. Yahuza died at the age of 37 and is survived by wife and 2 children. In Abuja, Tokpe Alabi, NTA News.
He was a very gentle man. May his soul rest in peace. And the death has been announced of Robinson Ngozi Chukwuka Eze, who died at the age of 84. A statement by the family indicates that late Eze will be buried on Friday, 23rd of August 2024, after a funeral service at St. John's Anglican Church, Umaga Udi local government area of Enugu State. He is survived by his children, grandchildren, and relatives. And that's the Network News today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori.